Hi guys, so I did my independent book reading on Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This book really breaks down on how to be the best you and how important your character is. Through this, it lays down the foundations on how to be a successful leader. The author of this book is Stephen Covey. He's a businessman, educator, and keynote speaker, and of course an author who has attended Harvard University. So when creating this book, Stephen did a ton of research and found that most success books focus on how to appear rather than how to actually be. Stephen wanted to stay as far away from this fake it until you make it idea because ultimately people will be able to see through it. But what they can't see through is a good character ethic. So that is exactly what he focused on when writing this book. Personally now, I think this is an excellent book. I 100% recommend it. It's a very concise 381 pages, so don't be intimidated to pick it up. I promise you, you won't regret it. Alright guys, let's dive right in. So in this book, there are 7 habits to highly successful people. Be proactive, begin with the end in mind, put first things first, think win-win, seek first to understand, then to be understood, synergize, and finally sharpen the saw. For the sheer purpose of keeping the presentation as incisive as possible while retaining your attention, I'm going to explain the first 4 habits in depth, how they relate to our class teachings, and then give you a brief explanation of the rest. So first, let's talk about being proactive. Stephen explains here the circle of concern. He essentially says that instead of focusing on everything you can't control, like the weather, politics, and other people's mistakes, you should instead focus on the circle of influence. Pretty much everything you can control in life, like your attitude, education, enthusiasm, habits, etc. Proactive people understand that you may not be able to control every situation, but what you can do is control your response to it. So as an application portion, a great quote is, "If you are complaining without offering any solutions, you are whining." This can directly be related to the real world where there are no shortcuts. Be true to yourself and true to your company. With good ethics and a proactive mindset, you'll be successful. So the second habit I want to talk about is begin with the end in mind. In other words, actually in Stephen's words, have a personal mission statement. This means having a goal in life, a drive, something with a purpose greater than just riches and luxuries, rather something that means something to you. Know exactly what you want so that when you choose your pathway and you work so hard towards it, you don't end up somewhere you don't want to be. This is so easily applicable to the real world, where so many of us ask what the world can offer us, but what we should be asking is what we can offer the world. Like all companies, we need a personal mission statement, much like how we learned Chick-fil-A had personal values that they weren't ready to give up, no matter what trend or backlash they were fought with. Their Christian values is what they decided to build and drive their company with. So the third habit is put first things first. When Stephen says this, he means prioritize what matters most in life, in the moment, whether it be your health, your marriage, or whatnot. Get it done and don't make excuses for yourself. This means following a good and healthy schedule, not one where you wake up late, get to class or work late, you're on the verge of breaking maybe a perfect routine. Most of us just write some notes on what we gotta do for the day or make a calendar, but Stephen gives us this amazing table that helps us categorize our day by importance. I think the chart speaks for itself, but boxes 3 and 4 are things we really need to avoid, and 4 especially, pretty much cut out from our daily lives. And now trying to relate this to our life and our classes, I decided to make it on a more personal level. What we're doing on our phones and social media is wasting our time. We're wasting hours of our lives. We're wasting hours of our lives focusing on someone else's content and life when we could be focusing on our own priorities. So the fourth habit, the last one I'll be talking about in depth, is think win-win. So many people are caught up on trying to be number one or I win and you lose, that they forget that the best win is a win-win. One where both parties benefit from the relationship. With a win-win, we can share knowledge and grow. With a lose-lose, both parties take home nothing but hate. And a win-lose is just selfish. Look for as many win-win opportunities. For example, I bought this book for $28, and I won by getting information that this book had. And Steven won by getting my cash. So, win-win situations happen all the time in the real world. For example, Disney buying out Pixar. Depending on the agreement, Pixar gets to stay afloat, keeping employees employed, while Disney gets to now profit from their productions and probably support funding towards projects as well. Okay, so now I'll just quickly go through the rest of the habits. So number 5, or the 5th habit, is seek first to understand, then to be understood. This means take the time to understand and hear people out on what they're saying. Don't be so quick to shut people up or push your opinions on them without truly understanding theirs. The 6th habit is synergy. In this book, this means valuing other people's differences and embracing them, working together and becoming a stronger unit as a whole. The final and the 7th habit is sharpen the saw, which in the most bland words means work hard, smart, don't just work hard. So how can this impact all of our lives? I think I more or less mentioned how each of the 4 habits I talked about in depth can alter or change the way we go about our everyday lives. But the key thing here is to put this all into practice. Don't just say, I'm going to do this, but think long term. If you develop these habits now, you'll be able to not only be successful, but land in a field you want to be in. Taking these steps can help you learn from your mistakes and avoid very distracting daily habits that are distracting you from your goal or your goals in life. When practiced correctly, leaders emerge through this. Leaders emerge through these habits. I appreciate you guys for listening and taking the time to listen to me. And that's all, folks.